Good afternoon, good evening, good late night for some of y'all. I know that I had to schedule a stream kind of late at night tonight or today or whatever, but that's just sometimes how it works with family stuff. So, welcome. I'll shut that music off in the background as soon as I hear my voice over there to make sure it's working. And it is. Good afternoon, good evening, good late night for some of y'all. I know that I had to schedule it. Oops. All right, great. We'll turn that off for now. All right, I always like to verify it's actually working before I get on to other stuff. And just doing some prep work, getting some things set up. Typically, I'll have all this running before, but today I had a couple things to do first, and so I'm just trying to check a couple of things, playing with a tablet here. This is an old Nexus 7 tablet. Actually, it sits in my car. And for those of you that are in ham radio, it runs APRS screen in my truck when I'm driving around. But it also has a full whatchamacallit, panel or tablet. So I'm using that for other stuff as well. I already had someone jump in here and ask a question. They're in India, but had to go off to go to bed because it's late. And again, I apologize. What time is it down there? 3. It's like I think they're 10.5 hours ahead of us now, so it's overnight already. Boy, this thing I'm going to mess with today is kind of a. Well, we'll get to that later. So one of the questions that that Jaga asked was, is there a card to show the last 5 or 6 activity of a particular entity? And absolutely there is. I use one called the home feed card, and this particular card here is available to display any entity that you would like it to display. You can filter that. And let's see here. So if I edit this, I'm just going to do a quick show and tell on this one to start the day off with. If I look at the actual configuration for the home feed card, these are the entities that you can use. I swear I'm not that pale today. I don't know what the deal is with the camera. It looks awful. I don't know why it's so pale looking. Maybe I need some more vegetables. Anyway, you can select the number max count entities here. You can show empty entities if there's any on there. You can turn on scroll bars if you want to go up and down on the scroll bar. So let's say you put in a max item count of 20. You would end up with a scroll bar on here, and you would be able to scroll through those. I don't like that, so I turn it off. But I specify which entities that I use here. So I have most of my motion sensors and some light switches and some other random stuff I stuck on here, like my BI alerts, my blue iris alerts. So anyway, Jaja, there is a card for that, and it's called the home feed card, and you can find that on. I don't know if it's HACS or not. Let me look. Yes, so you can do it manually or through HACS. I recommend you do this through HACS. If you haven't installed HACS, make sure you watch my video in the Back to the Basics series on doing that, because that will help you get that going. You've got to get a GitHub token and some other stuff to do that. But once you do it, you're golden. You can download tons and tons of things here. So I can even show you, HACS is this Home Assistant Community Store over here. Yes. Hello. I don't know what it's doing this morning. Let's not break right in the middle of my demonstration. And by the way, it's very wet here. I think we're at 3 or 4 inches for the week. I don't know what HACS is doing this morning. I probably updated it in the middle of this. Okay, so anyway, HACS, you can find that here. It tells you how to install it, and then, or the home feed card. HACS, watch the video on installing that, because that's a few more steps. But then you can set this home feed card, and for in your case, Jaja, you say you've got 4 vibration sensors, all your doors. You have to check which one is triggered last. For that, I have to check all the sensor history. So yes, you can do that. One of the things that the home feed card will do will continuously feed that. So if you have a device that triggers or shows up on the feed, typically the feed will show it at the top. And then if it re-triggers, I think it stays at the top. So if you have a bunch of those sensors you're talking about, you'll need to kind of figure out the best way to display those in here. But the home feed card will do it for you. So hello from South America, NR from South America. Hello, welcome. Raspy's here, of course. L Strong 2K, is that L or I? I never know. I can't tell. But hey, hello to L Strong. And then ham radio, mostly narrowband stuff. And I assume you mean like the VHF, the digital modes. I run, this is when I wish I had my other camera hooked up. But I have a nano spot here that runs DMR and Fusion or C4FM. What else do I have? A few of those. I've got a whole setup in the car. I've got a Raspberry Pi. I've got an old open spot or an older version open spot. So those two together, plus my my AC radio. The gosh, I forgot the brand or the model. Anyway, it's the AC radio that does fusion, and I have that in the car. So I have all these things. No HF because I don't have a way to have an HF antenna here. But I'm big into SDR stuff. I play around a lot with the SDR stuff. What I can, I listen to all kinds of things. I've got 3 Raspberry Pis running with different antennas on them in the attic for different services. And I can tune it around with OpenWebRX. Man, I'm really not digging that color. Let me see if I can do something with it's awful. I wonder if I can put a LUT on here. Let me just, what happens when I mess with the color now without everything else is my green screen starts flipping out. So I can give myself a little more color, but then I get the green screen flicker, which I don't like even worse. Well, it's going to be pale me today, probably. Oh, awful. I want to give myself a little color and a little green screen flicker. We'll just compromise so I don't look totally washed out and gross. Okay, great. From the Netherlands, hello, Arjan. L, it is an L. Excellent. And then Jordan from Paris. I don't think I've had a Paris before. Well, hello from Paris and from Barcelona. I don't think I've had Barcelona either. Woohoo. I'm famous everywhere. To 3 people. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Today, live streams are for y'all to answer, or for me to answer your questions as much as I can, as well as, just kind of talking about random things that I think about and stuff I've come across. One of the things I kind of want to play around with today is this thing called Home Panel. And, I'm not having a lot of luck with my stuff all of a sudden. This seems to be working. Thank goodness. By the way, for those that are keeping track, rain today was another 1.75 inches. And for the week, it's been wet. We've had some pretty good rain. We had like baseball size hail. Not us personally, but out kind of west of here a little ways. Had a confirmed EF1 tornado this week. It's been a great weather week. But looking at my my history here for my weather, whoops, wrong button. That's bouncing around. For the week, we've had 6.25 inches of rain. Most of that in the last couple of days, as a matter of fact. Oh, that's cool. Yeah, it reset. I was like, what? Anyway, we're well under. We're in kind of a drought stage. We're in stage 2 water restrictions here in my area, which means things like you can't water the grass, but once every so often. Can't wash the cars. You can't do certain things with water. So you have to conserve pretty well. So this has been very helpful. A lot of where we get our water is called the Edwards Aquifer out here. And some of this rain has actually pushed up into the Edwards Aquifer area and kind of dumped a lot of water into that area. So I hope to see the aquifer levels rise. And then that pulls us out of the drought conditions and the water restrictions. So that's kind of nice. But yeah, so the reset was today because it's the 1st of May. And so we had a month of 1.7, which should equal the day rain since it's the first all the way around. And of course, 6.25 inches in the last couple days. And this is all from my EcoWit stuff that monitors my weather station that's in my backyard. So when I say I had 6.25, I really had 6.25 in the backyard. It wasn't someone down the street who had a bunch and it missed us. No, it's a real deal. And that's one of the benefits I most enjoy about having my own weather station is that it's right here. You can get a reading from down the street, especially here in Texas, and it's different than what you have locally. And so this gives me an indication right here. And it's tied to my irrigation system for my yard, or for y'all in the UK, the garden. But if it rains, then my irrigation system knows this and it doesn't run. So that conserves water and a whole bunch of other things. So that's kind of nice as well. I know some of y'all play with moisture sensors that you can tie into this stuff, and then you can keep it from running if the moisture level's a certain amount. I don't have the moisture sensors. Some more hellos here. We have Vester from Rotterdam. Rotterdam. Let me, I like to educate myself when I don't know something, and I'm embarrassed to say, I think that's England. And if I said that wrong and you're really mad at me and you leave, I apologize. That's the wrong thing. Rotterdam. Y'all are going to answer it before I even get around to it. Rotterdam. Netherlands. Oh, yeah. Surely it's not New York. I mean, it could be. So it is. I think you've been on here before from the Rotterdam. So I think that's where we're at. Okay, cool. It's interesting how maps look different in different countries. This is a totally different looking. I mean, what is all this red stuff here? Oh, this is Rotterdam. I guess these are areas of water that belong to Rotterdam, like the city or whatever. City limits. Interesting. Netherlands. So Vester's from Netherlands. So awesome. I know we have a couple of folks on here from the Netherlands. Arjan's from the Netherlands, and then Vester as well. Welcome. If you had a sensor that records a changing value, say mileage on a car, what would you do if you wanted to only capture the value once per day in a different sensor? I can already think of like a gazillion different things you could do with that. Well, maybe. So, biggest harbor in Europe, Rotterdam. Hi, Zappy. Welcome. So this sensor, so here's what you can do. I mean, if you wanted to do this on a different sensor, you could run an automation that captured the value of that sensor and stored it in a database. So you could do something like, oh, that's ugly. You could do something, let's just say, let me just navigate and see if I can do this. Automations. Yep. If you hit the C key on your keyboard when you're in some of these screens, it'll take you to this pop-up where you can navigate directly to things. This is helpful when you're live streaming. You don't want to go to the integrations page with all your email addresses and junk on there. You can go right to automations, but you could create an automation. I would do this in Node-RED if I were doing it, but this is one way to do it, I believe. Record value. And in fact, I don't know that I can do this way. My idea is to take that sensor, Andy, and then store it into Influx once per day. And the automation would be the thing that stored it into Influx. So you would take, you would take a state of something, and you would pick the entity. So I don't even know what I could use here, like a temperature, maybe. I wonder if I can type temperature. So I'm just going to grab this first temperature. It's a CPU, but it doesn't matter. And then this is a trigger, though. You would almost want to not even trigger. I don't know if trigger is the right thing. Someone's going to have to tell me this. I know how to do it in Node-RED, but the idea is the same. However you get it done is you would take and you would grab the state of something, that sensor you're talking about, and under your actions, however you trigger it, it could be a time trigger, I suppose. In fact, that's correct, maybe. So a time trigger, fixed time, at time, let's say midnight or something, 23:59. I don't know what the format is, probably that, something like that. And then, so at that time, you would come down here and you would, and this is where I'm not sure, you would have to get the value of the device. So you would figure out what it was. Yeah, I'm getting way off here. I don't think this is the right way to do it. But here's the flow. Figuring out the best way to do that would be something I can do, maybe not on the live stream today, but you would go grab that value. You would store it in something that is stateful, and you could even store it on a helper value, potentially. So if you did helpers here and created like a text value, what I don't know is how you would plot that over time, if you could do that with a text value. Probably not. But you would store that value, and then in my case, what I would do, since I'm running Influx, is I would go into Grafana, and I would take that mileage or whatever it is, and I would just put it on one of my dashboards, and I would plot it over time. Much you do, like my water usage could be an example of that. You just take it and you just plot it over this amount of time here, and just see what it does, if that's what you're looking for. So that was a really long answer to say, go grab it, store it in a value, an Influx, using an automation, either through automations or Node-RED. Again, I think Node-RED for me would be easier. And then just plot it against that stuff. And let me just show you, I can just show you quickly here. In Node-RED, I'm doing that with some motion sensors, I think. Let me find something here that has that. So there's this connector. So I would get the value, and I would take this value here, and this is how quickly you can do it. You can do this on a certain amount or a certain time of the day. So I would just even do an inject or something like that, if I can spell it, inject. I hope I'm not confusing everybody on here, but you take an inject, and then you would say repeat at a specific time. So it would start up and do it, specific time. I hope you can see that at the bottom. You would say every day, 23:59 or even noon, whatever that was, Monday through Friday, every day of the week, in other words. And then you would send that inject into this whatever thing, done. You would take this timestamp thing, and I'm just pretending here. You would take the value, so you would call the state of a device. Let me find it here. You would take and you would maybe pull, and this is probably even better, pull state. Update interval every 24 hours, maybe. I mean, there's different ways to do this part, but you would get the status of the thing. So you would find the current state here. So you would connect those two, get current state, and then whatever that current state is, you would make sure you're outputting the current state you're looking for, the actual value, and you would take something like this Grafana deal, and you would attach it here. And now what you have is this is sending the name, and you could say, what'd you call it, a car? So you could say car mileage or something for the name, and the measurement would be car mileage. And then when you go to Grafana, you would find the car mileage entity or value and plot that on a plot. Node-RED is a flexible way you use time and post back to HA. You could post it back to HA, or you could post it directly into, well, it depends what you're doing. If you want to look at it over time, you can stick it in the database. If you are just wanting to get the value to put it up on the screen or on a dashboard or whatever, and it's a single value, that's easier. All you have to do is, like you said, post it back to HA, or in the automation at whatever time, get the current state of that entity and just store it in a text value or something, or just display it. So yeah, there's different ways to do that. I like Node-RED, and I've talked about this before, because it's just so easy to see what's going on. I mean, you can see, like, especially my lights or doors or whatever, or alarm actions. You can see all the stuff that I do at a glance. It's super, super simple to see it. And I do a lot of different things. So there you go, Andy. I hope that helps. There's probably bunches of ways to do it. And you know what I find with Home Assistant is I will suggest a way to do it, and then everyone else has a slightly different way. Nobody's necessarily better than the others, but it gives you an idea of the flexibility you have with this system to do what you like. Use trigger on time. Yep. So I think I got Andy squared away after all that stuff. Okay. So today, a couple things I wanted to talk about. I just made a video on Alexa. Oops. Let me just apologize for everybody's smart speakers I just triggered. That thing, that box. So I made that video about connecting to those devices without having to authenticate through the media player stuff. And then I went through and I was looking at some stuff yesterday or a few days ago or whenever it was. And I found, I went back through, and if you don't know what the problem was I was having to re-authenticate that Alexa app all the time. I would get a notice in my notifications down here that I would need to re-authenticate the media player. And it would happen, I don't know what the time frequency was, random, but enough that it was just a pain. And every time that occurred, none of my smart speakers would announce anything. And it's a novelty for most of what I announce on there anyway. Like when the garage doors open or close, it's just like if I'm sitting there and I hear the door open, okay, maybe it's time to go help unload groceries or, whatever I need to do. And it's nice to know that. Now I get notices on my watch and my phone from pushover, so I get them, but nobody else in the house does. The other one that's more important is the refrigerator temperature. If that gets high, or the door's left open. That's probably the biggest one. If somebody leaves the refrigerator door open, that needs to speak. And it was becoming, it was getting to the point where it was unreliable. So I came up with this other method to do this. And then I came across this whole thing with two-factor authentication. And as I started playing with the two-factor authentication, I then discovered that you can do what I thought you could not do in this before, which is another reason I was leaning towards the Google ecosystem. Because things like being able to do TTS, which is somewhere here. Where's my TTS stuff? So let's just go to further documentation. And then I can scroll down here. There's a lot of stuff in here we'll talk about in a minute, but TTS. Well, here's a couple things I tried right off the bat, which I thought were just crazy. You can go into your developer tools, and I think it's on this device. Let me just double check. I think I broke oh, there it is. Okay, good. You can go into to developer tools. That's not developer tools. Come on. That's not it either. I'll get there. And you can go to services, and you can, in fact, I did this. I did a send notification, but I also did this other funny thing. I went and I opened up and I started playing ESPN from an automation or from a button or BBC or NPR or whatever else. That was interesting. So you can basically start playing things on the Alexa media player. Dang it. I need to stop saying the word. I need a big old thing. Don't say the A word. Again, I apologize for all those I just triggered. If you're in a room and you don't need it on, there's a mute button you can push on there just in case I say it wrong again. But in addition to that, I started messing around with this thing called, here, we'll look over here and I'll figure out the name of it. It's called, where is it? SSML. Forgot the name of that. What does it stand for? Speech Synthesis Markup Language. What you can do with SSML is really a lot of things. You can make it speak like a human being or whatever else. So I started playing with these things. Now this could be a novelty or whatever. But you can do, like, check this out. Emotion name, excited, intensity medium, and you can make it actually give it some characteristics that make it sound more like a real voice than a computer voice. You can do things with
That's me. I'm a virtual assistant who can help you with with lots of things. And for a little more about
I have no idea what in the world.
Hey there. Glad you stopped by.
Alexa off.
Virtual assistant.
Computer off.
Stay up.
Gosh, I just triggered all y'all's deals. Yeah, so that just went nuts. I don't know why my thing started talking. But what did I say that made it come off? I don't even know. I'm kind of embarrassed. So anyway, I started playing with this and I thought, man, this would be a lot more fun to play with than what I'm doing now. So what I'm probably going to end up doing is going back to my, and what, let me tell you one more thing that really, I did something called Whisper. One of these things says Whisper. The way you speak it, you can say it in a whisper mode. You've got poly voices. So you've got all those kind of those accents and whatnot. But you can do all kinds of weird things with this. And I think that I'm going to play around with this some more. If you want me to demonstrate any of this, let me know. But it's hard to hear this on the microphone. But the idea is that what I did was I went in and I installed the media player. I will say the name. It's an integration. I'll show you what I'm saying. I installed that media player. And then I went into the configuration and integrations. And I added that on there as well, wherever it is. Anyway, it's on there. Trust me. Let me do this. Oh, that's not going to work either. Well, anyway, it's on here. And now you can see here that I have all these devices that it sees available to me. What I wanted, and then you can reference any of these. So these devices, if I wanted to do something with this one, I could make it play. I wonder if that's available here. But you can make this stuff play. You can then add like a mini media card and do stuff with the media card. So I'm almost saying the solution I provided in the previous video is not necessary to what I did already, or to this new one. And if you haven't seen that video, I don't know if I have a good way to show it here. If you haven't seen that video, it is the one that is called, where is it at? I'll find it for you. It says solved. So I'll just give you a quick look at it here. It's this video here. If you haven't seen that one, don't start talking. It's the one that deals with this whole setting this whole thing up without having to authenticate. I mean, if you're interested in that, that's fine too. It requires creating some sensors. It requires creating some routines on your app, on your smart speaker app. And so it's a multi-step process. And then you have to go through here and do the entity stuff and whatnot. So that part, all of that part where you do the entities, that part's still part of the cloud, the Nabu Casa stuff where you can control it. So this is speaking and doing stuff like that. I don't believe this has anything to do with controlling it through through your devices, through the smart speakers. But you do that through something like Nabu Casa or something else. So anyway, I just wanted to bring up the fact that there's more than one way to do something. And even though this was a fun exercise and it's working great, and I don't worry about now at all this thing not authenticating and me losing out on some important announcement the thing is supposed to make. What I've yet to see, and I've talked to some of y'all on Discord and comments and on the channel and stuff like that, that even though you're doing this 2FA stuff, let me go back over to where that is. I've got two-factor authentication enabled on my, where's the installation? On my account. And then it goes in here, and when you set it up, it actually goes in and creates a new app. So it's creating like an authenticator app, but it's doing it within Home Assistant. And Home Assistant, whenever it needs to re-authenticate, it's going to go here and grab the 2FA code and submit the 2FA code to Amazon, so it keeps your thing logged in. I've had people tell me this works flawlessly, and I've had others, I think, tell me that it doesn't work as well. So what remains to be seen at this point is I'm running this on my other device, my backup device, and I don't do a lot with it. I will probably, and this might freak some people out here in the house, but what I will probably do is I will have my, like the speaker that's next to my bed, when I arm the alarm system at night, run the whole night scene mode thing, I'll have this talk and make sure it's still working. If it turns out after a few reboots and a couple of 3 weeks or whatnot of messing with this and running this, and it doesn't ask me for re-authentication, then I may actually switch my production system over to this and go back to the way it was before. The drawback to this thing I talked about here, and I mentioned this in the video, I still think it was a fun exercise. It's just a fun thing. A lot of this is fun. It was something to play with and a different way to do the same thing that we've been doing, or that I've been doing already. What this does, this other method is, or what this method here does, is you have to create a routine on your phone. Again, watch the video, it tells you all about this. But you have to actually type in the words that you want it to say. So I would type in this, say, fridge door open on the routine. And I would have to call this routine anytime I needed to from my automations and Home Assistant. And I could only, if I called this routine, it would only say this. So if I wanted to say 5 different things, I would have to create 5 different routines on my phone app and then call those 5 different routines from within Home Assistant. Versus if you're using something like the media player, which I was until it started failing all the time, it would allow me just to put the text I wanted to say. So I could dynamically go in there and create some text, have it spew it out the speakers. I could even dynamically have it send out to specific speakers. One other thing you can't do here, and I talk about announce. Announce goes to all devices. You can create a say version of this routine, and this say version will then allow you to choose a single device. So just one device. Again, the whole idea here is this is much more complicated to do as a dynamically created setup. For one-offs, for stuff that never changes, you want to say, the garage door open. It's always going to say that. And if you always want to say it to all devices, then you never have to change that. But if I want to say, hey, the temperature in X is now Y, I would have to, if I wanted to say it for every 10 degrees of difference, I would have to create a routine. I think y'all know where I'm going with this, right? This was a workaround for the stuff that I do for the most. I need to know when the fridge door's left open. I need to know when the temperature's too high. I would like to know when the garage door's open and closed. For those things, I created routines, and they say them reliably with no problems and no authentication issues. So this works for me. But again, after doing some research this week, I now see this whole other, where am I going here? This whole other media player thing that looks like it has been fixed to deal with 2-factor authentication. In fact, you have to have 2-factor authentication enabled. And it tells you here, no help will be provided for login errors if 2FA is not enabled. So I don't really understand Amazon's infrastructure. I have a 2FA app on my phone. So I have this app on my phone that I use with a YubiKey. So I have a YubiKey, and I just tab it back here, NFC, and it gives me my code for Amazon. I also get a text message from Amazon with another code. And then now I have this thing here that allows me to authenticate somehow with another whatever. So I suppose that's just multiple methods for them to allow you to authenticate. Anyway, okay. So what are your thoughts on this whole thing with this? I'm very curious if this is going to be reliable. Do y'all run this, any of y'all? And if so, have you had, since going to, as long as you're running the latest versions, and you're doing 2FA, have you had any issues with anything related to this setup this way? I'm just curious if it's going to be reliable. For me, this stuff, unless I purposely break something or I'm messing with it, I want it to work when I want it to work. Now, if I choose to break something, knowing the risk of me messing around with it, because that's what I do, fine. But the stuff that I can't control, I can't have that change all the time, because if I build something to run against something else, an API or whatever, I don't want the API changing on me while I'm expecting a certain action to occur and it doesn't. Because the one time you need that action to work and it doesn't is the time you need it to work. It's kind of one of those things where if you have backups and you never test the backups, you don't really have backups. It's kind of that thing. But I don't go check all these things I run all the time, because that's enterprise and this is home and I don't have time for that nonsense. The one thing it does say here somewhere, I thought I read it, is the fact that this is built on something that could change at any time and be pulled away. They reverse engineered Amazon and something. I don't know if that's on this page. Maybe it's back over here. Yeah, here we go. This is using the unofficial API. This mimics the app, but Amazon may cut off access at any time. So this other option, is available just in case this one goes away. Whoops. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? And this is what I don't like. This is basically reverse engineered. In the olden days, we called it, it's not screen scraping, but it's a similar concept. You scrape the screen until someone figures it out and they go change an HTML element and your screen scraping breaks. I always wonder if they're just going to shut this stuff off at any point. So curious if anybody uses this. I'm curious whether or not that's something that y'all have experience with. Excellent, Tyler. Yeah, go give it a watch. I'm curious if you what you think of that. Okay, so that's the Amazon thing, and that's where if in the comments while we're chatting here, if you want me to demonstrate any of this stuff, let me know. I'm going to try to. I can show you like what it does or what it says. I started messing with the mini player or the mini whatever this thing's called, mini media card or whatever it is. What is it called? Let me see. The heck if I know what it's called. Custom mini media player. You can have it. You can put stuff in here to have it speak it and that kind of thing. I haven't got that far yet. Delicious. I think Tony, you've talked to me about this before. The 2FA was the text message sent to my phone, but obviously not. So, are you actually using YubiKey for Amazon 2FA? I am using YubiKey for the Authenticator app. So I have this YubiKey Authenticator app. I can't. You can't really see it. Anyway, I have the YubiKey Authenticator app, and then when you put the NFC key on the back, it brings up all your stuff. It's a similar to typing in the NFC code on the front. Man, it's getting hard to get dust spray. Can of air. I'm getting a notice that my can of air is going to be delayed. Anyway, I have this app, Tony, and I just use the key to NFC it on the back, and it's a YubiKey secured 2FA app on my phone, kind of like the Authenticator, the Google Authenticator, and those kinds of things. I have that. I don't know how this happens, but whenever I do certain things on Amazon, I get a text message with the 2FA code. And I can also, if I don't use the text message 2FA code, I actually can use the YubiKey on the Authenticator app. That's what I don't understand. One of those shouldn't work, I didn't think, unless I have them both enabled. And there are some sites. Now we're going to get off into the 2FA world. There are some sites that only allow one key. I have 2 of these YubiKeys. And if you don't have a physical security type thing, especially in today's world, I highly recommend you get one. I know that Google started selling one of their 2FA keys that they used. I think they gave every single one of their employees a 2FA key, or just a key of some sort. And they have had 0 successful phishing attempts and 0 successful issues with that kind of security stuff. I think these are great. These are kind of expensive. I have the NFC version because I want to be able to use it with the phone and other near field things. But where was I going with this? So some of these sites, like I have 2FA on my Twitter account, but I can only use one key. And I have 2FA on my YubiKey account. And if you don't, you should probably do that because there was a big security thing not too long ago. Problem is that this is one key I have, and it's supposed to be a backup key in case I lose the first one, because once you lose the key, you can't get into things unless you have that little, they give you like an eight codes, one-time use codes or whatever on some of these sites. You can get in with a one-time use code, but I can't put 2 keys on some of my accounts. So YubiKey, for example, this is the key that I keep up here all the time in my office. It's for most of the stuff that I do on a daily basis. YubiKey, I got to run down and get my car keys where my other key is so I can get into that account. So that's the one drawback. If you lose the key, you kind of a little bit, you got problems. And so I'd like to have a backup key for everything, but I can't do that on all sites. But otherwise, I mean, it's fantastic. Love this. And this is one of those keys you have to put it in, and you also have to touch it. So you have to be human. You have to prove that not only can you plug it in and you have the physical key, but you got to touch it as a final step. So it's a pretty secure key. So I really like those. Johnny, welcome. You're not late. We're just rambling about all kinds of random stuff. Primarily the smart speakers stuff. And you missed out on me saying the smart speaker trigger word 3 or 4 times already. That usually makes people really, really happy. By the way, if you ever have I know I'm just rambling, but those smart speakers, I was watching, a sporting event a couple of years ago when people were still going to those, and they had the commercials were saying the words, but my devices never triggered. Somewhere in the internet world, this is just a fun fact I learned on the Amazon stuff. Anyway, they have some sort of algorithm that runs, and if, let's say, you're watching a commercial and the word is spoken, and that word is heard by, let's say, 1,000 people are watching this event on TV, and it's spoken, and that thing picks it up. The algorithm is smart enough to know that came from a commercial and not you saying it locally. And so it nulls it out for that particular word when it says it. I thought that was very interesting. So things like the Super Bowl or big sporting events, whenever they have a commercial and they use the word in the commercial, the boxes don't trigger, the speakers don't trigger, because the algorithm says ignore that because we just had a commercial run that says whatever. And they probably have there's probably some sort of embedded unaudible stuff that's in there that prevents it too, I'm guessing. But I think it's interesting. Let's see here. What do we have for chats here? We actually have a TV ad running now that says, oh, you're doing that? On the you as in the house? Oh. Does that work? In fact, there have been times I've been watching commercials and it hasn't triggered the boxes. I now wonder why. I wonder if it picks up voices now. A lot of these smart speakers are becoming more and more trained to specific voices, so maybe that's one of the reasons why they can get away with this more now than they used to. DS Reality says, I'm still on the fence when it comes to that. There are members of my extended family who are probably there with you. But I know we live in a world where things are listening all the time, all the time. I'm watching some Netflix show. It's not spy show, but it's about government listening. It's not about that, but there's scenes where the government can hear your phone and do stuff with it or whatever. This thing that we carry around all the time, supposed to not be listening, but who knows? So you just consider that you're being listened to all the time. I know you can put this in a metal box and be done with it, or soundproof it or whatever. So if you really want to do that, you can. But I know we live in a world now that we're being listened to and watched all the time. I just try, that's not comforting for everybody, but I just accept the fact that it's where we are with technology. That's the way it's going to be from this point forward. Certainly minimize that if you want to inside your personal domicile or whatever. But I'm not worried about it. I mean, this thing is, I don't know what they're probably taking my entire live stream and chopping it into bits and selling commercials on it without me knowing about it. I have 2 smart speakers sitting right here. So yeah, I get that. The functionality is awesome. And I won't name names, but there's some people that frequent my house that still are very concerned about those things. They want to know how I turn the lights on by talking to something. When your Nest responded to it, that's funny. Getting 2 YubiKeys for some time, but as you said, for one as a backup, silly if it does not do that. There are some sites, Tony, that do allow for the backup, but some only allow one. I think Twitter just basically said, they just basically said that you can do that. I don't know if I want to do that. Let me see. I don't think I can show that on here without showing too much. I have an email that I sent myself to remind myself. It says Twitter YubiKey. So something occurred somewhere about Twitter that, in fact, I'll do it over on this other computer, that told me to go back and check on it. It may be allowing me to set up another thing. Let's see. I want to look at my security settings. How do I get to my stuff? Settings and privacy. Privacy and safety. Security and account access. Security. Manager of security. Two-factor. So I have managed security keys. Oh, sweet. So I can't show you. How do I bring this over? What it says is so you can actually name these keys. So it doesn't allow you now to add a second key on Twitter. So then now what I can do is take this one and the one that's on my key ring, and I can add it both to Twitter. So then I do have a backup. That's awesome. That you can do. So in that case, that makes it worthwhile. I still have 2 keys anyway. Oh, and by the way, Tony, on the Authenticator app on the phone, depending on which key you use, it brings up different like sites. So I don't have my UBNT, my Unify account is on here for 2-factor authentication, but it doesn't come up if I use the other key. It doesn't show up at all. So it's interesting that you can have 2 keys that are completely isolated from each other and they won't even show the other stuff on the app. So there we go. All right. I beat that to death again. So let's talk about, by the way, if you have a question and I don't respond to it, our chats are slow enough moving here that I pretty much can get to them. But you can always go into Discord, hit the exclamation ask, just exclamation ask and then your question. It'll go into the live stream questions channel on Discord, and that way I'll see that for sure if I happen to miss your question. That's a little housekeeping. Okay, so I want to go back now, and I want to talk about this thing called Home Panel. And I started playing with this. This is going to be kind of an observation as well as a kind of a demo. And I have my Nexus I was talking about earlier, for those that were on earlier, that I'm going to try to show this in. Home Panel's idea is to be able to, let me close some of these tabs. It's like a tablet thing. It's just another front end for the for the interface, and I started playing with it, and I've got some issues already. So let me just go to Home Panel, and I'll just show you what I'm talking about here. It's a web front end for controlling Home Assistant, or controlling the home, it says. And it is an actual add-on from the Home Assistant community store. It's not an HACS, it's an add-on. So, oh, well, this is interesting. Well, this just tells me that maybe I shouldn't waste my time. It says maintain not as of 2020. So maybe it's no longer work being done. I saw something recently on this, a tweet or something that brought it to my attention. So even though it's not being maintained, somebody's still promoting it. So if we look at, and again, it's this is kind of what it can look like. But I was having real issues with it. Of course, this is my dashboard now. You've all seen this from time to time. I built this dashboard with the UI, and I built it using, and there's a whole video on this very dashboard. There's a little change here and there, but it's pretty much the same. This is built using grid cards. So this stack is built on a nested grid card. This is the same, and these are all the same. Oh, hey, somebody asked me about Amazon deliveries. Where did I see that? This? Who is on here from the... Somebody tried to get me to do this, or somebody got me to do this mail card. Or delivery, what is it called? Mail delivery card thingy? I can go look it up. But I can never, ever get the pictures for the USPS to display. Now this one's displaying. I have no Amazon deliveries coming in. But in addition to that, somebody here on the chat just a little while ago asked me that. I forgot who it was. But is there something you can tell me about Amazon deliveries? Now this is a card that displays sensors. And because these are all sensors, you can automate against the sensors. So if you have a delivery coming and you want to be notified through some means other than this card, like say pushover or something like that, although my Amazon app gives me all kinds of spam about it, you can set up some sort of automation to get notified when you have this using this card. And what it does, the way this card works, is it goes and it checks your email and it looks for specific email from addresses and the subject. And then it goes and determines whether or not there is a package or whatever for these different providers. DHL is also available here for those that are big into DHL across the pond. So this is available. This little thing I haven't figured out. You have to build a template to display number of packages and number of mail pieces or whatever. Obviously, I didn't get it right. There's no documentation on doing it. It just says you need to build a sensor template. Any users, yes, you can get Amazon delivery notifications this way, but it uses your email, and it talks about how to do that. What is the name of this card? Now that I'm here, I'm going to have to show you what the card is, right? Everyone wants to know. It's at the bottom, right? So it's number 8. Show code editor. Mail and packages. So it's called Mail and Packages. It's installed through HACS again, the Home Assistant Community Store. And this card is actually the Mail and Packages card. And all of these are built off of are built into the card. Again, that template thing has to be built yourself. This picture comes from a local storage place on your device, and it doesn't display it for some reason. It never has. Even though I have a mail piece, it should show me a picture. And it creates a rotating GIF, whatever, of mail pieces, because when I get email from the U.S. Postal Service, it shows me a scanned picture of every mail piece that it can. And then it'll create a rotating GIF here, GIF, and it'll show that rotating series of pictures for what's coming in the mail today. So you get an idea who's sending you mail before you go to the mailbox. But I can't get the picture ever to work. And to be fair, I haven't spent a lot of time troubleshooting it. There's probably a log entry saying it can't get to whatever this directory is. So anyway, I need to to dig that. But the answer to your question is yes, you can get Amazon delivery notifications if you set this kind of sensor up, mail and packages, and you have your email set up to be able to be checked by this, and you have your preferences, notification preferences on the delivery services website set, so it sends the proper email with the proper subject in it, so that this thing can scrape it and get it. All right, back to the card, back to the home panel. So I was playing with this home panel, and by the way, I'm just rambling on here. Please make sure you're asking me questions on things that maybe I'm not talking about or whatever. Technology, Home Assistant related, I will certainly answer them as best I can while we go here. But this thing I was trying to mess with, because I thought, let's just try another way to build a panel. So I went in here and I installed it on this device here, and I think I mentioned this earlier. I went to HACS. I went to its front end because it's a display type item. I searched for it. Oh, maybe it's integration. No, I'm sorry, I'm wrong. Totally wrong. I told you it was in an add-on. It is an add-on. So if I go to Supervisor Add-ons, whoa, there you go. By the way, another squirrel moment here. You sometimes when I'm doing something, I'll have like a YouTube thing playing in the background. And I was watching something yesterday, and somebody was doing a simulated flight. And these guys and gals or whatever that do the simulated flights, they do the full thing. So there's a couple of Airbus captains, real Airbus captains, flying an Airbus flight from some place to the other. It was like a 3.5 hour flight. And right as they were coming in for a landing, their thing crashed. The server, the computer running they were running X-Plane. It crashed. And so moments before arrival after a 3.5 hour flight, killed it. I was just reminded of that because I was sitting here and I was trying to do something here and there was nothing going on. I've had moments where I've had a long flight in a flight simulator, and at the very end, something happens and it crashes, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm a pilot. I have a pilot's license. So for me, turning off a simulator is just as hard as me jumping out of an airplane and letting it crash. It's just something built in. I will find an alternate airport and do an emergency landing if I have to leave the simulator before I turn the simulator off with a plane still in the air. I know, just kind of weird that way. Okay, we're talking about this thing. Hopefully, I'll get to it. Home panel. So I installed Home Panel from the add-on store. I'll just go to add-on and click on Home Panel. And then I just installed it. So it's installed. And then in the configuration, there isn't any. This stuff doesn't do anything, nothing here. This supports ingress, which means it's available from the actual Home Assistant, IP address. It doesn't have a port or anything. That's why this is disabled. And then I just start it up. And then I open the web UI, which actually, because I have show and sidebar, it's the same thing. I can go to Home Panel here and install it. What it does when you first start this up is, number one, it seems to be kind of slow. I'm running this on my Raspberry Pi 4, my test thing, so maybe it's just slow. Now this is different. Oh, see, it's not. So here's the first piece of heartburn I have with this. And I don't know why it's stretched out like that. There's this space. Oh, because I have it 3 across. Everything says Home Assistant not connected. This is me building something earlier. I was playing with it. Every time I load this up, every single time, I have to go back in, and this actually connects to Home Assistant via WebSocket. So you have to log in. It's supposed to keep you logged in, but every time I do this, I have to do this all over again. And I wonder if it's because I'm running multiple instances of Home Assistant on the same network. It's got some weirdness. I don't think so, but I will put in the IP address of my Home Assistant Raspberry Pi 4. Golly, I'll try to. And then I will just try to log in. See, and now it worked this time because I'm on the live stream. That's awesome. And so now I'm looking at this thing, and let me try to, it's too big for the screen. There we go. That's the number one problem. The number two problem is pink. And I know there's a way to fix that. I just don't know how to do that. I don't know how to edit that. Is it over here? Maybe. Yeah, okay. I tried this newsfeed thing too, and I went to this news API site and got an API key, and it doesn't work either. Dark, primary color pink. That's probably the problem. I want light green. Ew, that's pea green. How about lime? That's what? What kind of colors are these? How about green? Yeah, there's the Mostlychris green color. Secondary color is not going to be pink. Let's do light blue. That is not light blue. You know, I wonder if it's combining these two. Nope. Light green? What the heck? So you're experiencing with me my first time I'm messing with this. Red? I don't know what it's doing. I'm just going to do back to light blue. Background, text colors, all this stuff. Show time, show blah, blah. So there's a bunch of settings here to make it look different. Now if I go back to overview, it's funny. I set that to green. Y'all saw it, me set it to green, and then I changed that secondary color and it killed it. Primary should be green, right? Uh-huh. And I'm going to this back to pink because that's what it was before. I wonder if it has to reload CSS or something. I'm going to, okay, light blue and green. And I'm going to go back over here. Now watch what happens. Okay, the color's awful. It's more awful now than it was. Let me refresh it. When I do this, see? Okay, now we're pink again. Or red. What the heck? So this is where I'm going. There's a certain point where I'll be messing with something like this. This would be an interesting thing to do if I really needed some sort of dashboarding. I would mess with this till I got it to work. But I don't necessarily need this. I thought it'd be something as a new way to do it. And what I wanted to do was, see, I gotta this is just awful. Okay, I'm logged back in. I'm pink and pea colored. At least this stuff is working now. Earlier these lines didn't change. So I created these cards, and I'll do a sample here in a minute. But I just created these camera cards, and I can just click on any of these things here. You like my green grass? You like that? I don't know why it got so green and everything else around it's so awful. Okay, so there's that. You can create a second page and do stuff here, add more stuff to another page. If I were to pull this up now in just the way I built this thing earlier, I'm going to turn on my tablet here, and I'm just going to see if I can get to it. So it's loading the home panel, and I bet you it's going to ask me to log in on every device. So that's kind of weird. I wish I had my other camera. Yep, so hold on. I need to log into the home panel. So the home panel, stop that. The home panel actually has you log in to the home panel itself. So you have a login there, and I think that stays persistent. That has been okay. It's logging in the Home Assistant afterwards that's the problem. So let me put in my login information for home panel. Can't even see it. And see if I can get in this way and just see what it looks like on a tablet. Because that's what it talks about. It's another way to... I already have an account. No, I don't. No. Already have an account. Log in. Okay, log in. So, yeah. It says here, login error, timeout of 5,000 milliseconds exceeding calling create on authentication. Let me try again. This is an old tablet. Oh, okay. There it is. I've just logged in, and my settings are... Oh, golly. Yeah, this may be not even worth messing with, you know what I'm saying? Maybe we'll fix the Samsung TV that Johnny's asking about. I think each one of these has its own account too, so maybe I logged in with a different account. So let me try to I don't even know where to get out of the, how do you log out of it? And I'm not trying to make, somebody's put a lot of work into these things, and I don't want to make it seem like it's trivial. But I am just talking about the issues I'm having, and maybe I could be doing it completely wrong because I haven't spent a lot of time with this. And it's probably not fair to say, okay, well, if I'd done a few other things the right way, it would have done it differently. This is a very old tablet and it's slow. I just need to log out of this. There we go. So now I'm logging out of Home Panel. See, and you get that login page. And I'm going to log back in with a different login. Maybe I used the wrong one. I didn't know I had different ones, but maybe I did. And we will try to see if it brings up. I want to see what that panel you're all looking at right there looks like on here. See if it's easy, because if it is, it's an easy way to build. Easy way to build panels, tablets. Yeah, see, look, there it is. Now if I do it sideways, what happens? Oh my gosh, what happened? Where'd it go? I'm going to say that password because I don't want to do it. So I turn it sideways, and now it's there it is. So it doesn't even seem like it's, I don't know where the right panels, oh, like, yeah, look at that. So these things would have to be set, and I apologize for the bad filming here. These, slide over. Yeah, these things would have to be set so that it would fit on the single screen like that if you're going to make a tablet out of it. Of course, again, I'm not connected, so let me see if I can connect the Home Assistant on this one to the right. And it's just so hard to deal with where the mouse is. I mean, the cursor is on here. 172, 158. All right, so I hit the login button on there. And now it's asking me for my Home Assistant credentials. Somewhere up there. Yeah. So one more login for that. And it seems to me that it's staying, like this is staying logged in. I have to specify the correct URL. It's defaulting to Home Assistant.local, which doesn't work in my network because I have more than one of them and I don't have it set up that way. So I'm going to try to log in here and see if I can get that to look like something. Okay, loading config. It's loading. Oh my gosh. See, now it's logged in, but it says it's not connected to Home Assistant. So let me do it again. And I'll have to put the address in one more time. And if I'm boring you all to tears, tell me and I will switch on to some other subject, like the NFL draft, which I'm not watching. So 1.158, and then the port number, go. It shouldn't ask me to log in again this time. It should just go in there. Yeah, see, now that's just weird. Bonk. That's just weird, right? So there's what it is. I keep hitting my microphone. It looks just like it does on the main screen, right? In fact, I can't even, like this stuff down here. Now you can set the size of these icons. So let me do that. If I edit this, and I can come in here and I can take one of these and make it smaller. I think. Well, it's already 1 and 1. I don't know how to get. Yeah, maybe I can't. Can I do this one? So padding is 12 pixels. I think let's just make that 3 and see what it does. And see, it doesn't do anything. So even with that, and I would need to, this would need to be in like kiosk mode or something to get the borders off the screen. I don't know if I can do that, like full screen it from here. I don't know how you full screen it on a tablet, if you can even do that. Yeah. I mean, I was hoping this would be another way to kind of easily build it. I mean, as far as adding entities and whatnot, I'll just show you that. It's pretty simple. So I'll just click a plus. The title, you just give it a name. See, and the other thing that occurs for me is if I backspace all the way to the, see, and I can't get rid of that word card. It just goes there all the time. If I do this, highlight it, and then start typing, I don't have that problem. And I just put a new entity or whatever. And I'll choose the entity down here. I'll just put another light or switch. So I'll search for switch. And we'll do the attic switch. Actually, I'll call this attic switch. Elevation, I don't know what that means. Default, or the background, you can change the colors in the background. If I made it green, it would turn it green. You can set the icon. I'll just put fan because it's an air handler. It didn't change the background. It's supposed to. I'll make it blue. Cyan. You can make it square, but it's already square. The width, I wonder if I can make it something like, I can't even delete it. Whoa. Oh, I see what that does. It's just the width. Like, I can't get rid of that one. Height. It's either one or... Weird. Well, I can delete whatever... Yeah, weird. Title, justify, center, font size. Can I make it tiny? See... Oh, wow. Okay. Icon size... If I erase the word, it just fills it back in for me. Tiny. I don't know what it means. 1px. Oh gosh. 1px. Oh yeah. Okay. So I can make it pixels. So you set it in. You set these things like font size. Like say 50 pixels. No, I can't erase it all. But 50 pixels. Oh my gosh. What is it doing? 50px. Okay. How about 10 pixels? If you get rid of the text in these boxes, it auto fills in that other stuff. Square does nothing. Then I save it. Now I didn't have to do all that extra stuff I just did normally. Now the fan's on. What these things do is it actually turns these on and off. If I turn this off, it will change the color. So if I turn that off, oops. It should change it. Yeah, see, it does that. So from a tablet perspective, and while I'm sitting here, I've been disconnected from Home Assistant. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm not loving this thing very much. I thought it'd be kind of a fun to play with, but it's got some strange quirks that makes it difficult to use. And again, to be fair, it says it's not currently. I'm going to go back to supervisor and see what it says. Not maintained. And some of these things that are happening could be a result of stuff that's been updated on Home Assistant that if this isn't being maintained, haven't been updated to new requirements or whatever. Version 2, project stage, production ready. Well, see, look. You tell me the difference here. If I go to Home Panel and it says maintain no as of 2020, and I go back here to the add-on, it says maintained yes. Which is it? Well, okay. I mean, I can see some examples of stuff that they've done here. If I could get around this having to log in with over and over again with it, it might be useful for creating some tablets. You can create different pages. I just don't know that it will replace something like my regular dashboard, wherever that is. Hold on. Oh, here. Like this to me, I built, and it seems to me this would be easier to build. And you could create different dashboards for different stuff here, or for different tablets. So I'm not sure. I mean, if you've messed with this home panel, let me know. Tell me I'm doing something really wrong. See, it's made for touchscreens and desktops with a sideways scrolling material design interface. Okay. So not like basically that's pretty much just touchscreens. I mean, I guess you have a desktop where you could take and drag the bar down here or something. Fully customizable, custom theme, full in application configure. Yeah, so you do everything through the application UI, which is nice. Those kinds of things are nice. But yeah, I tried to play with it some more and just see if I can fix some of this. I guess there's comments down here. These are August 20. Oh, so there's 5 days ago, right? So there's still discussion on this. Yeah, this is maybe this is some of the stuff is not getting saved anymore. Not able to get it to work. Starts fine, and I can log in, but it always loses the HA connection. It won't save any changes in config. What to do? Feels like to be read-only mode. Yeah, okay. This guy says it works great. March 12th. Well, anyway, it's something I just wanted to play around with, and I thought I would do it on live stream, just because, excuse me, it looked like something fun, and I started, really, to be fair, it looks like some other folks are having the same problem I am with the loss of connection to Home Assistant. To me, that's kind of a deal breaker because I can't go in there and authenticate every time I refresh the screen, or at least put the URL in. So that isn't going to work for me on that. But you can play with it as a thing. It looks decent for a little dashboard, I guess. If you could just get it to fix some of these issues. I know I read this thing about the cores without origins. That doesn't solve my other issue with the other stuff. Long press on the page itself, I can delete the page. Oh. Long press on delete the page. No. Okay, so somebody asked me about, and I'm just going to look here. I thought I had another idea for a live stream article. I just want to make sure I talk about it. In other news, I've been playing with DeepStack on Blue Iris, and that thing is pretty amazing. Let me answer Johnny's question here. Have ever tried to get a Samsung TV to work in HA? So Johnny, what are you trying to do with it? Control it in HA? I do have 2 of those LED TVs, and I thought I found those at one point. Maybe I told it to ignore them. How do you and when you say try to get it to work, Johnny, are you trying to what are you trying to do to get it? I mean, are you trying to connect it? How are you trying to connect, I guess, is the first question. Is that a integration of some sort? Oh, Samsung, can't even say it. Oh, well, hello. Let's try this. I'm going to go to, can't even switch channels. How do you connect into HA with it? I have Samsung Smart TV. Hold on a second. Let me find my. Oh, you know what? I bet I can't do this because I don't have the key. The key for my. Oh, maybe I turned that off. Hold on a second. I'm looking for my Unify stuff so I can look at the IP address of my TV. Oh, and you know what? I don't think the TV's on the internet. I use DevTools to test it. It is auto-discovered. Oh, okay. Well, that's cool. So I see this integration I was going to do. I first have to get the password for Samsung on here. Oh my gosh. Error has occurred. Hold on. We'll get it. I need to get into UBNT. I need my password for my Unify stuff to look at my Unify stuff so I can find out the password. I don't think my TV is actually on the internet now that I think of it. Devices. No, here's devices. I don't want devices, I want clients. And do I have Samsung? No. I think, and look, the filter's all weird too. Let's get rid of the filter. Unify has a new interface for their stuff too, so it's kind of weird. I want to find Samsung. Yeah, I don't think the televisions are actually on the internet. All my stuff is done through the Roku devices. All right, whoops. That was not smart. So to answer, does anybody else have an answer for Johnny on here about the Samsung TVs controlling those? What's the model of the TV? Yes, Pew, I have done the fully kiosk. I actually have that on this tablet. I wonder if it's still actually on here. I did that for a while. I think I deleted it when I had this in the car because I didn't want it taking up space. But I have seen the fully kiosk browser, and I do like that. Samsung. So let's do a little research because it sounds like this is a common thread. Samsung. What's the model of the TV? Samsung, we need to talk. All right, so there's a lot of issues, confusion. All right, so what do Samsung TV models actually mean? Were they so long? So that's basically criticism. So let me go back. I go to the end and read backwards. Okay, so this is not good news. Personal advice going forward to any serious users is to avoid Samsung. For similar quality with good integration, LG. The Hisense Roku TV is supposed to be excellent quality and communicates via MQTT. Oh, really? Huh. So Tizen, what is Tizen? Oh, so okay. So you have to do some stuff with that. All right, so it looks like that's not good news for those TVs. This is like, when I read one post, I'm like, okay, that's it. Did an in-depth poke around a Samsung Q60 port scan results. What does that show? Well, I'm waiting. When you're talking about switching the TV is the solution. I'm waiting for my TV to break downstairs, or the big, one of our main TVs, and then I can replace it with something newer. But that's too much to read. Someone took their TV apart, it looks like. So there would have to, it doesn't look like, hasn't been updated in 20 months. But I suggest raising it with the official integration. Even my limited experience with Samsung, the built-in and custom variation available, blah, blah, blah. Establishing separate components for a legacy Tizen or future system that Samsung will release to be the path. Being a Samsung legacy owner with a 2013 model. Oh, so I wonder if the old ones work better. I have a LED 40 and an LED 50. I don't know what the models are. I haven't tried them to do this. I might, because I don't like, they were doing weird things when they were on the internet. I just blocked them. I never hooked them up to the Wi-Fi. Oh yeah, mine's probably something like this. I don't know how old this is. It's a few years old, like probably about 7 or 8 years old. Oh, it's not that one, is it? Yeah, I haven't spent a lot of time with TVs because I'm curious. Because I have a remote control, right? And I do everything through the Roku. What is for y'all that do the TV part of this? What is the big driver for that? What do you want to be able to do with that? It sounds like you want to control it, but are you going to open your phone app to control the TV, or does it show you what's on or something else? Because I have the on my dashboard. I used to have a dashboard. What did I do with it? As far as what's playing, the three smart devices for the three TVs show up here, and it will give me like an app logo or an app image of what's playing currently that I can see here, and then I can control those. I can change, like for example, I can change to a different app directly through the Roku integration, and I can also pause it. I can play. I can skip to the next whatever happens to be on there. And then I can turn the power thing. I think if you have a TV that has the power control through the HDMI cable, I've disabled those because we bumped the remote too many times and the TV just turns on. So I've disabled it, but you can, it's basically with that control, turn the TV off by pushing the power button. It sends a signal through the Roku to the TV via HDMI and turns the TV off if your TV has that control. So I do that with that. So I'm curious what the drive, and maybe that's why I've never messed with the TV part of it, because I don't use the smart apps on the TV because my TV is too old. I use the Rokus and players for all that. So let's see here. I have the TV as a companion when I work. I want it to change the channel automatically during the day. Oh, interesting. So is the TV actually controlling the channel? And I ask that because the TV, again, so my local TV is through an HD home run, and my Plex server, I watch a local off-air TV that way. And then anything that I want to stream would come from like a service like Sling or something like that. I don't have anything that controls the channels on the TV. So what would that entail for you, Johnny, to be able to control that? Do you have like actual channel numbers on the TV that you would change? The Tizen app is an HACS. Function is limited. Volume and turning off from set that are 2016 plus. I had an Arduino with IR diodes doing that for me previously, but then I bought a new TV. No channel switching. What does that mean? You ask that as a question. No channel switching. Are you asking me if I do channel switching? This is where the delay comes into play. And I'm trying to. We're having a conversation 30 seconds apart. I'm going to pretend like I'm in one planet and you're another one, and we're communicating that way. And I'll wait for your response to come back before I ask another question. Tizen app is an HACS. I want to see what that looks like. So let me go to HACS. It's going to be an integration, I'm sure. And I will search down here. It's behind me. Oh, am I going the right way? Add and whatever. Tizen. Samsung Tizen. So let me look at the documentation here. This is a custom component to allow control of Samsung TV devices. It is a modified version of the built-in blah with some extra features. Only 2016 plus TVs model, maybe all Tizen family. So you can send... Oh, asking David. Okay, that makes sense, Johnny. Ability to send keys using a native home assistant service. Ability to send chained key commands. Supports those things. Extended volume. Ability to customize source list at media player drop-down list, including all those sources. Cast video URLs. Open browser pages. By the way, on my old TV with a browser, that was probably one of the worst experiences I've ever had on the internet, trying to browse the internet with a TV remote control. I guess you would use a mouse or something that way. Connect to SmartThings for additional features. See TV channel names, see which source is selected, more key codes. Display logos of TV channels. So those are SmartThing things. So then component would be, so this almost looks like what the Roku thing does. It's a media player platform, or it's a media player with a Samsung platform and the IP address and MAC address. And then you have these other things. So for advanced using of the app list guide, although this is optional value, it's highly recommended to set it manually if some occasion forgotten. The app list is used to set apps that you have installed on your TV. Okay. So I don't know. So who said that? Somebody said this. The Tizen app is an HSCS functions limited volume and turning off from Setzer 2016. But it looks like, David, that you can do more than that, according to this, the documentation. Change channels. Oh wait, volume. Yeah, you're right. Okay, so you can send keys. You can send chain key commands. Volume, customize source list, send URLs, open browsers. Yeah. I don't know. That might be something that you can play with. I don't have, my TV this is 2021. My TV's not new enough to play with that. It'd be kind of fun. But I don't use the smart features of my TV either. I use everything on the Roku, and it sounds a lot like, that's the wrong one. It sounds a whole lot like it's going to be the same as the Roku stuff here, where I can get a listing of the apps installed on my Rokus, and I can power on and off, and I can get what's playing. There's no such thing as a source on a Roku, so that stuff doesn't matter. But, it sounds like you would have some sort of similar functionality. There's no volume control on the Roku, because that's not where the volume is generated. So that makes sense too. There's About It. Hey, About It. Thanks for the regarding the Z switch. Although I don't own the hardware, I was able to figure out my Z-Wave automation involving my Ion Valley switch. Yeah, and it's interesting too, on that stuff where I talk about the Z switch and the scene control. That thing is sitting on my desk. I think I'm going to keep it up here. That one. The box is huge. The little blue power box. If you haven't seen the video, watch that video. It's the latest video, I think. I think my latest videos actually get linked over to the description on these things. I think it does. It's supposed to. Anyway, it's got a scene controller, and I can control. It's got 5 buttons on it, because the main button is a load button as well. So if you have it hooked to a light, for example, it will allow you to control the light locally if you want it to do that. But it has 7 functions for every button. So I can double, triple, quadruple tap it, long press, long release, and then press and unpress or something. And it allows, and it's all based off the same thing, like About It here is talking about the Ion Valley switch. It's scene control, and scene control in Home Assistant with Z-Wave, you do that by watching the event bus. And when you watch the event bus, you can pull out specific stuff from the data block that's coming from the event bus, and you can create automations on that. And I did that. Yeah, and About It makes a point here. It had been acting as a dumb switch since the April update. They made a change in April. And one of the things they did was, developer. I need the C key, developer. So if I go to developer tools, and this is what I'm talking about, I go to events, I can look at the Z-Wave JS value notification events on the event bus. No S. Start listening. And there's nothing here, but if I push one of these buttons on my switch that I just pushed over there, now I get a data block. And this data block tells me that node ID 48 had a label of scene 004 with a value of key press. So I pressed it once. If I press it twice, now you see, and it just goes in order. This is the one that just happened a second ago, and this is the current one. Again, node 48, label is scene 4. That's the button number 4 of the small buttons on that device, and then key press 2 times. And you can take those 3 items and you can create an automation from that, which is what I do here. And what changed was that they started looking at the event bus and standardized the Z-Wave stuff, which broke a lot of people's things, which I think is what Bowdit was talking about. If we do, I do this work mode. I think it's kind of funny because I make it talk. So I'll do this work mode, and I will look for node ID 48, scene 5, which is the big button on the top of that. If I press it 2 times, it goes over here and it shuts all of these lights off. It locks the locks, and then it tells me through TTS on my Google device, work mode engaged. It's silly, right? But if everyone's off to school and work and I'm working from home, I will come up here and I'll double click the main button. It runs an automation that sets all the stuff in the house to where it's locked up, turned off, except for up here where I'm working. And it's just an automation I run with that scene controller box. So that's kind of fun. I mean, I could do that from a dashboard button too or whatever, but I think it's kind of fun to have a physical device to play with. Excuse me. So anyway, that's the latest video if you want to go look at what I did with that box. I think those are really cool boxes. I don't know why I wouldn't have 4 or 5 of those around the house, except the kids would play with them all the time. But I would like to have one somewhere, essentially, like maybe in my master bedroom, that allows me to arm the alarm by double pressing or triple pressing one of the buttons. Because I have 3 different ways I can do it now. I can tell the smart speaker to turn on the alarm for the night. I have an NFC tag. I can push the button on my phone dashboard, or I could just walk in the room and double press that device and do it that way. So that'd be kind of fun. What I run into now with that Zeus box is just having enough of an imagination to figure out what I want to do with it. There are just so many options with that. And then the other part is it's got 5 buttons. How am I going to remember multiple key presses per button and know which one? I need almost a key to carry with me to know what's a button to press to do something until I get muscle memory from doing it. So, but it's a cool box. I really like it. And in fact, all my light switches, if I ever move, are going to be, well, I say that. I will have to get approval, of course. But those light switches need to be multi-function scene switches. I do have my main Zeus switch that's got it's just a paddle switch, rocks up and down. Double pressing the top one twice will give me, turn all the inside lights in the house on. So that's another scene control. But yeah, so about it, what you're saying is, I guess you're saying when they made the change to the event bus stuff, that's probably when your switch stopped working. So I'm glad it was helpful. It applies to, woohoo! Thanks, Bowdit. I think you're you're the second super chat ever. Love it. Thanks so much. Appreciate it. Anyway, oh look, it's actually got a thing. That's never worked before. If you're seeing the star up there, that's pretty awesome. I didn't know that was even working. I don't think I have Tizen in my kitchen, but I do on my other 2. We'll check out HACS. Yeah, so Johnny, if sometime you want to report back on that would be great. You can just throw something in Discord and say, hey, I got it to work, because I'd like to know. Todd says, please tell me what cards you are using for the motion sensors in the middle of your dashboard. And thank you for the channel love. I really enjoy it. It's fun. I hope it comes across in the videos. I have a lot of fun doing this. Let me look at the middle of the dashboard. Let me get back to the dashboard. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Oh, I got all kinds of business there. Okay, so I will tell you what each one of these are. This is a wired motion sensor that's connected to my DSC alarm panel. This is a wireless motion sensor that is connected wirelessly to my DSC alarm panel. This is before I was big into HA, so don't judge me on all this. This is a multi-sensor 6. This is another wireless, I don't even know what frequency they use, but another wireless motion sensor connected to my DSC panel. This is a motion sensor 6, multi-sensor 6. These 5 here are all related to my blue iris. These come across via MQTT. So any motion detected, now not motion detected, any alerts. There's a difference in blue iris. Motion detection gets analyzed by my DeepStack artificial intelligence setup on my blue iris server. And that then will only alert if it falls into a category that I alert on. So I have car, truck, person, bicycle, those kind of things, right? If it sees one of those within the alert area of my camera, it will then send me an alert. So if a car drives down the street, you kind of see the street in the background here. If a car drives down the street, I don't need to be alerted every time that occurs. So I have this whole frame as my primer, the DeepStack looks at this, but the motion's only, the frame, the part that occurs here. Anyway, the analysis occurs, and that analysis then goes through, and it looks and alerts me for that. Now, there's been motion in the study, and you can almost see a car going. This updates every 10 seconds. There's a car going down the street. It probably will not alert my driveway. But there's currently motion in the study, and that's from that AOTech motion multi-sensor 6. I have links for this stuff. By the way, I do want to mention one thing. I use this thing called kit.co, and I do that primarily because it allows me to create kits of related items that, for example, I have my kit that's all my Home Assistant stuff. I have a kit that is my production for my video production stuff. And so all of that is in these 2 little kits. And it's easy to update the kits on kit.co. If I change a product or a product becomes deprecated, I have to go into all my videos, descriptions, and I have to modify those to get rid of that versus going to something like Kit, changing it there, and then just having you go over to Kit. So these things are all listed in my video descriptions. You just click on the kit.co link and it'll take you to that. But this is the device. It's pretty cool. It's got a motion sensor, temperature, light, humidity, vibration, and UV sensor all in one little box. And I have one of these in the attic, one in the study, and I have one in the garage. I think that's it. And and that's what you get the motion sensors from on these, the couple of these over here. Let's see, what was I going to say with that? If I were to do things differently, I would use a connected alarm system, probably, and I would do different motion sensors than the wired ones that go to the DSC panel. They've been flawless. The only thing about these DSC alarm things is they want their batteries to last for years, like years and years, which they have. But in order to do that, the motion sensor triggers, and then it waits something like 6 minutes before it clears. So you have a 6-minute window where that motion sensor isn't clear. So it doesn't re-trigger, and that conserves battery life. It's supposed to be, if there's motion in an area, trigger and be done with it. Set off the alarm or whatever it's supposed to be. It's not designed for like presence detection or something else. Oh my gosh. Woohoo! Thanks, Todd. I really appreciate it. That's the second official. I know that there was one a while back testing wise, but that's the second official, and that makes me very happy. Very happy indeed. So let's see, Todd, thanks for the explanation. Need to know what Loveless cards you're using for your legacy motion sensors. Does anyone else know? For my legacy motion sensors. Explain that to me. Maybe I can help with that. what cards using for legacy motion. So what would be, yeah, what would be a legacy motion sensor? That's something that I would like to have more information on. You can see that study. And by the way, those that asked about the home feed card, here's the home feed card too. And I have the study sensor as one of the items. And it tells me how long ago these things fired. Now you can click on this and you can get a history of all the motion if you have your history and logging and everything turned on in Home Assistant. And I can get a history of when it detected motion, but I also have this here. So if I'm keeping tabs on, say, the kids or something while I'm up here working, I can kind of see where things are going on. And I tailor my home feed card for something like that scenario. No cameras in the house. That does not pass the WAF, the acceptance factor. So no cameras, but I can build a picture and make sure things are going the way they should. If I'm busy working and they're down there doing something else, I can at least make sure they're maybe where they're supposed to be. Forget legacy. I will forget. What is the card using for study sensor? Oh, the card. Sorry. This is a custom button card. And the custom button card, and check the dashboard on the video on the dashboard, because I talk a little bit about these custom button cards. But on this custom button card, it's installed through HACS. Let's see, 1, 2, that's a second layer. So this is a custom button card. And all I do here is I'm looking at the binary sensor, kitchen, living room motion, or in the study, for example, it could be anyone. Well, let's go to study. So study motion sensor detected. That's the AOTech Multi-Sensor 6. I just choose the icon of motion sensor, give it a name, give it a color type of card. The state, if the value turns to on, the color goes red, and then it changes the icon to an alert icon. And that's all I do with that custom button card. Those custom button cards, that's the cat's meow, let me tell you. Though I love that. That's probably one of the best cards that I've seen in Home Assistant, because it is, when they say custom, they ain't joking. It is a customizable card. And if you look at my dashboard, I actually have, these are all custom button cards. They'll turn red. So it's an easy identification if something is out of place. So if a lock is unlocked or a door is open, it turns red. These are all custom button cards. This is, if the garage power goes out, I need to know about that. I have a really cool sensor for that, and basically use a door sensor and a relay. And if the power goes out, since in the garage, sometimes it happens because it's got one of those GFCIs. And so I need to know that because there's a freezer out there. Anyway, all these are custom button cards. These are custom button cards, I believe. So you can just make them do whatever you want to do. This has a level, and I'll show you this one too because I think it's interesting. On these custom button cards, it is HACS, Todd. Definitely HACS. But if we look at this custom button card, this is an example of what you can do with it. Let me find the max wind. If you ever search inside this stuff, it's case sensitive, by the way. Okay, so here's a custom button card. On this one, it's a little more involved. So I set styles, right? My height is 100 pixels. Filter opacity is 70%. I give my font size for the name and my color. If the value is 20, if the state value is 20, greater or equal than 20, then my background color turns red. The opacity goes, that's supposed to be 100%, not 1,000. Wow. And the height's 100, all that's the same, right? If the value is greater than or equal to 12, and you have to do this backwards, I found out. Because if it hits the first one here, it stops. So if it was at 12, it would never go to 20. So I do 20 first, and if it's greater than 12, which it is now, it's yellow. Turns yellow, opacity 70%, 100 pixels, and then my color's here. So it's just, there's so much you can do with that. And yes, it is an HACS card. It is a front end card, and you just search for custom button card. And it may not show here because I already have it installed, but down here at the bottom you can see it. It is a It's actually called button card, not custom button card, button card. And if you look at the repository and you start looking at what you can do with this, it's just insane. It's amazing what you can do with this. So the sky's the limit. You can build whatever you want with this card. It can do templates and triggers and all kinds of stuff. It's so long I can't even go through all of it. Have I ever posted my configuration on GitHub? Yeah, 5 years ago. I can, but here's the thing with the configuration now. Most of my configuration, the main components of what I do, like the dashboard. The dashboard, now I can do this now. I've figured this out. If I go back to my dashboard and I edit the dashboard and then I go into, I don't want to do that, not now. If I go into edit dashboard and I click on raw configuration editor, I can copy this whole thing and put it on GitHub. So that might be doable. Before I couldn't figure out how to get the actual, all of the stuff. So then your next question is going to be, can you post this on GitHub so we can play with it or look at it? Probably. The thing about that is I'm not really good at keeping up with that. And so things get outdated quickly. And then on top of that, a lot of my automations are done in Node-RED. And Node-RED, you can certainly take and export to flows. But I don't know how, I mean, it might be beneficial, but then you have all these random flows. And anytime I come over here and I move this that way and I deploy it, that has now become outdated on GitHub. So if there was an easy way to push these things to GitHub when I make changes, it would be better. But I fear they would get outdated quickly. I think I have some of my stuff on there now, but it's really old. But I could make it a point. I mean, if I had enough people saying, you know, hey, look, I made it on Google. If I had enough people on here asking me about it, then I could potentially see 2 years ago. There you go. Changes for version 0.88. Oh my gosh, that's old. I wonder what this even looks like. Let me see. Do I have a dashboard page or something on here? Home. Is this the right one? This is my original homepage. It looks pretty basic. Yeah, it's on there. It's really old, and so now that I've mentioned this, don't go there and try to use the stuff that I've shown lately because this is all 2 years old. I need to just blow this away and put the new stuff on it as well, and make sure I'm not putting any of my secret stuff. The thing with my configuration page now is not everything is in secrets. So, dude, about it's like gonna make me rich here. I have to buy a coffee, 2 coffees. Man, I appreciate it. I really do. I have a hard time like, well, I won't get all that, but I really appreciate the super chats. Those are awesome. All right, it is 4:57 in Texas. I've been at this for about 2 hours. Do y'all have any final questions? Remember now, this is not the end of the discussion, right? There's always Discord, and I always say the disclaimer. I answer almost every one of my YouTube comments that I can. I think I pretty much answer everyone. YouTube commenting is hard, and I'll tell you, it's sad because I need y'all to comment on YouTube because that's what gets the activity and the algorithm to prompt my videos. But it's hard to have a conversation in there because once you make a comment, the only way I know you make a follow-up comment is either you put my name in there and it sends me an email or whatever, or I use a service called TubeBuddy, and TubeBuddy will actually allow you to filter on comments that have been responded to that need another response. So it's hard to find those things, but it's there. But if you want to have a conversation with screenshots and whatnot, Discord's the way to do that. So if you have any follow-up questions or anything like that, make sure you throw those on Discord so that I can answer those. I try to do these live streams every couple of weeks as I can, time permitting. The time depends on what's going on. via baseball games with the kids, or today was, we took them to a show and that kind of thing. So, hey, David, thanks for stopping by. Have a great afternoon, evening, night, whatever. And let's see. Anyway, the point is, make sure if you have questions about these things that you see me do, throw them on Discord or hit the comments on YouTube, and I try to get to those as best I can. If I miss something, ping me again. Because it just sometimes things get lost in all the chatter. So with that, any final questions or wrap ups? I'll give it about 30 seconds before I push the button. That way it has time for it to make it to chat before I close it out. And again, for those that came late, I apologize for the washed out video. I don't know what happened today. I adjusted a little bit, but now you see the green screen splatter in the background too. And being a perfectionist like I am, that's bothersome. All right. Thanks, Tony. We will see you on the next one as well. I wonder why it's delayed over on there. My pop-out chat is delayed from my regular chat. Anyway, y'all have a great rest of your day and all that jazz, and we will see you on the next live stream. If you're not a subscriber, do me a favor and just hit that subscribe button real quick. That way you get notified. Man, I don't know if I should do something at 5,000, but I'm getting close to that 5,000 subscriber mark. Maybe a giveaway or something. We'll have to see how that goes. That'd be kind of fun. But y'all have made it possible for me to continue to do that, and I really appreciate it. Raspberry Pi Radio. Yep. Send me a question about that specific. Well, two things to remember, Todd. OpenWebRx, RTLSDR, and then those are the two big things I'm using now. And then I've got P25 stuff, and I've got some Unitrunker stuff running as well. So all that. All right. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you on the next live stream and or video. If you have any suggestions or questions on video creation or something you'd like me to talk about, make sure you post those. And again, thanks for watching. We'll see you.